and also the board president of MaCCNO, the Music and Culture Coalition of New Orleans. On behalf of Sync Up and on behalf of the Jazz Fest Foundation, we want to welcome you all here. So give yourselves a hand for being here. You know, that's half the battle, right? And so how many of you, by show of hands, are familiar with the Sync Up series? The Sync Up series is a series that the foundation has been doing for quite some time. When I was a younger gentleman growing up in New Orleans, just trying to learn the business side, right? At that time, I was an artist. I started off as an artist. And so at that time, as an artist, just wanting to learn more about what the business was. How can I connect with these managers, these talent buyers, these venue owners? How can I, really know how to connect with them? I mean, back then, we were still MySpacing it. I don't know, the youngest know about that, though. We were still, we had the top 8, top 16, all that. See, that went over their head. Don't worry about it. Look it up. But yeah, but we had MySpace. I mean, we had the AOL discs. I remember my mom had like this drawer of all these like 100 hours of AOL free discs, so we never paid for AOL. But if somebody called us, then it knocked us off of it, so we had to go back. But I'm just saying that we had all these different methods that we'd go through. I can remember, going to Tennessee State in Nashville, and then in Nashville getting like this book of music executives of all these different labels, all these different titles, and they just expect you to either mail them something or just kind of pull up, as we say now, right? Just kind of come to where they are. And so as things have evolved, right? I mean, things like that still do exist and resources like that still do exist. But as things evolve, we as artists have to look at our art differently and also have to brand our art differently, right? And so in turn, the people who are looking at us and that are booking us also are looking at that differently, right? So I'm excited to have a panel of very, 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 very dope people. All of them that I've known for quite some time, have the honor of working with them in some capacity. As most folks know, I come from the artist realm, but then moved into the management realm. The bulk of that was with Tank and the Bangers, worked with Tank and the Bangers from inception, still working with them now. And also, like I said, formed the artist collective Global Warming with Pell, who's an artist, and that is an artist of New Orleans artists, centering black artists that are making hip-hop music, that are making pop music, and that are doing genres that are, normally not commercially accepted. So we are building an infrastructure. That collective also includes executives, artists, and just trying to create the infrastructure and what we need for ourselves. And so just been a part of just really advocating and building communities of artists is really a big passion of mine, and also I know a big passion of these folks here. So I'm going to ask our panel to come on up, and we're going to introduce them one by one. Come on up, y'all. Y'all give our panel a round of applause. They're going to introduce themselves. Nobody can talk about you like you. Come on up. Come on up. You can get a hand to her. Yeah, come on. Shucks. Everybody's got mics? Awesome. So let's just kick this off, right? Everybody obviously sees names and titles, but I am a big person of speaking for oneself, and sometimes things are fluid. So I would like everybody to introduce themselves, and I would just say your name and what do you do. We'll get into everything else later. What do you do and who you do it for?
Hi. My name is Sonali Farnando. I actually have recently kind of exited full-time from the entertainment industry. I'm moving into economic development and anti-displacement work, and trying to build the wealth and power of people of color in the Broad Street neighborhoods. But I come from a background of being an artist, being a booker, being a promoter, working in hospitality, so like owning a restaurant. So entertaining, I would say, has always been a part of my life. What was the other two? That's it.
You answered it.
Nailed it.
Boom.
I'll toss it over to Sage. Legatron. Sorry, y'all. Sorry.
Hey, y'all. I'm Sage, aka DJ Legatron. I'm a DJ, event curator, producer, all things creative. That's me.
Peace, how y'all doing? I'm Jevon Thompson. I'm music and programming director over at Ace Hotel. I'm also a DJ Rockaway and founder of Await Team.
Hi, I'm Greg Schatz. I am the Entertainment and Stage Production Director with French Quarter Festivals, Inc. I'm also an artist. That's sort of how I got into the business to begin with.
So the beautiful thing about New Orleans, right, is that all of these people are artists. You know, like that's the beauty. That's not a common thing elsewhere. Like we, you know, so I don't know if we often appreciate that. But I think the beauty of that too is that, you know, artists, we think out of the box all of the time. And so when we get to mesh, I guess, you know, for lack of better words, the business world with the artist world, I think that we have a unique perspective here in New Orleans on that. So, yeah, and also, as you notice, two of them are also DJs. I don't think there is enough, you know, of commending the DJ community here in New Orleans, because the DJ community here in New Orleans, particularly our generation and the one before, has really kind of trailblazed and shown us like how you can do things DIY. We've seen DJs here, you know, break. We've seen these folks kind of come from certain levels to putting on their own things and then breaking themselves. You know, all of these folks have put on their own things and kind of put themselves on. And so I just want to big up the DJ community, like, because I mean, I come from the era of the Rod Smooths and the E.F. Cuttons and all these folks that laid the groundwork, and I know they're right from that tree. So yeah, that's one thing I think too, is just kind of big upping folks and giving folks their flowers. That's key. Also, giving folks their flowers doesn't only affect them, I think it affects community, because when folks see other people getting their flowers, I think it's inspirational. It's something to attain to, if you will, right? So let's kick it right off, right? And we don't have to be in any order. If the spirit moves you, jump on in, you know. And if it's a question where it's like, you know what, they got it, by all means. And also, we will have Q&A at the end. There's a mic in the back, so hold your questions, jot it down. You will have time to pry into the minds of these good folks. So, right off, what types of events do you book right now, and what events have you booked for in the past?
I guess I'll go first. The type of events that I'm booking for right now are parties. I throw events, so I'm always looking for artists. I'm always looking for DJs, artists of different mediums, because I always have ideas to do things, different installations and things like that with my parties. So I'm looking for, when I'm booking now, is for artists of different mediums, whether it be music, DJing, painting, photography, digital, you know, that sort of thing.
Right now, you burnt it up, bro. She used all the good words, man. I book for, again, like she said, all kinds of acts, everything from comedy shows to poetry shows, jazz shows, country shows, rock shows, all of those different kinds of artists. I also book in our outlets at the hotel. So for instance, we usually work with jazz bands in our Italian restaurant. We also have a lot of DJs upstairs on our rooftop. But we have 3 keys downstairs, which can host literally anything. We've had, you know, people like Jesus Christ, Dame Funk, CeeLo, both representing, you know, hip hop, black music, soul music, but also like very different parts of the prism of black music. Yeah, and as a DJ, I book for, I have an event called Lanyap at Tipitina's. I always try to book a locally based artist. That can be anybody from Raheem Glaspie to Baron Aman. Actually, coming up in November, I'll have Sonny Patterson as a guest artist, so who's a poet if you don't know. So, yeah.
So with French Quarter Festivals Incorporated, I've been booking French Quarter Festival, which is the main one that everybody knows, but it's and also Satchmo Summerfest, which happens in the first weekend of August, and a holiday concert series that's coming up in December, and they're all free events. Actually, there was a short spell of 5 or 6 years where we were charging a nominal cover charge for Satchmo Summerfest, but we've gone back to free on all of those. And for French Quarter Festival, it's all local acts, but we try to have the broad spectrum of music that is in New Orleans. As long as it's family friendly, we try to have it represented. And for Satchmo Summerfest, occasionally we have somebody come in from out of town, but it's, you know, the majority of what we do is with local artists, which is part of our mission, is to promote the music and culture of New Orleans.
Oh, did you answer?
Previously, I actually was also the music, I didn't have a director title. They really loved Jevon. But I was at ACE previously, and a lot of the similar stuff, I will say I had an agenda. I always tried to center Black and people of color artists with the intersection of LGBTQ artists, and I think I was hired for being kind of an outsider in that respect. I started booking shows. My first show I booked, I was in the band, obviously. It was my 20th birthday at the now gone away but legendary Cafe Brazil, and I booked a funk band, which was my band, a punk band, a punk band, all girls, lesbian punk band. They'd never played a show before, and an electro DJ, which was pretty edgy at the time, because in 2002 we weren't mixing genres, everybody stayed in their lane. And I've done I'm trying to explain the things I booked that is off the beaten path. I did a psychedelic folk show in my house with Josephine Foster, who is very polarizing. But and then I've done traditional shows as well, and worked with tarot readers, just weird things,
Dope. So, like I said, a breath of knowledge here. So, you said something very interesting, Greg. You said that, if they're family friendly, right? So that kind of leads me into my next question, right? Because I think as artists, at least from the outside looking in, as an artist before I started to book events or curate events, I think the biggest question mark was what are they looking for, right? So, what are the top 3 things that you as a talent buyer have to consider when selecting an act for your event, and what are your responsibilities?
Right. So I know, it's kind of hard to narrow it down even just to 3 things, because there's so many different factors and so many different ways to look at it, especially when you're looking at a big festival. You need obviously some acts that are just going to draw the crowds in. You need quality music. You also need to bring new people in, so you're looking for exciting up-and-coming talent, and so you need the established acts, you need the exciting new talent, and you're looking for sort of a breadth of different things, so you don't have all the same, the same kind of show. But I mean, overall, quality and some excitement, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a high energy show, but that doesn't hurt either, but something that people can relate to. And of course, if you can throw something in there that's kind of new and interesting and off the wall, and a little bit of a risk, if you have enough stuff that is kind of a sure bet, and then you throw something new and interesting in there, but you have to have a certain amount of it that is going to bring that where you're pretty sure that, people are going to come to see it.
Thank you. Anybody else want to add to that?
Things to consider. Of course, there's a budget. I got the thank you to
That one too.
I previously, when just as a DJ and an event producer, I was like, all right, cool, we got this much money. It was just money. And having the experience at ACE, it's nah, it's a budget. You need to plan this. Treat it like your personal checkbook. This money is really important, right? But it's not just about spending dollars and what you get back for the dollars. It's also about what you can present to an artist. Paying an artist is, you're paying for someone's time, but you're also demonstrating value. You're demonstrating care. In that process, in that interaction. So absolutely thinking about budget, thinking about impact, depending on what the event is. I have the pleasure of additional budget for citywide events. So in those, and citywide events would be Jazz Fest, Essence Fest, NOLA by NOLA. In those periods, I have the pleasure of creating this musical countercultural mixtape. with support, again, of a budget from a company, which is really great. But at that time, I want to demonstrate a snapshot of what I think would be the other way to represent the music that we have present at the time. There have been times where the focus was a women artist. The focus was anything but jazz. And not to be disrespectful to jazz. Just trying to take the opportunity to demonstrate what all we have to offer as musicians, as artists from this city. And what's the second part of the question?
What are your responsibilities? What you kind of touched on.
My responsibilities go from hiring our tech, of course, informing the tech and the team and preparing them for the artist that's coming in, making sure the artist's needs are met by way of tech riders and also personal riders, make sure they get, is it me? There we go. Making sure that they're like actually physically comfortable so they can perform to the highest capability, but also scheduling, making sure we got security, making sure they get paid on time, making sure if they need a room or anything like that, like all of those things fall under my responsibilities.
Awesome. Anybody else want to touch on that one? What are some of the things you have to
Mine
consider?
is pretty much the same, except for I don't have a budget.
Hello. That's another panel.
That's another panel. I need a budget. But mine is pretty much the same. When I think about curating my events, I try to tap into. Well, I'm already tapped into the local artists that are around, the local creatives, because I am one. I see everybody every day, interact with them, social media, shows, whatever. So I really try to get who would fit best. Like, case in point, when I throw my players ball, when I do one that has a performer, I think about what the theme is, what type of performance I want, what type of vibe is it, and I go on my search. And I look at, the person. I definitely do my Carfax. Does this person do good business? We have a lot of artists, so I want to make sure I'm doing good business and this person is a good person outside of a good artist. And also, like, what value do they bring to Players Ball? What do they also bring to the table? And I like to pay everybody. If I have the money, well, I always have the money. I find the money. I pay everybody. I make sure everybody's taken care of. I don't DJ my parties. Well, Players Ball, I did the last one, but I usually don't. So I pay my DJs, pay my hosts, pay my whoever I'm booking, I pay everybody, but everyone has like that same baseline standard of who you are, what do you bring to the table, how well can we work together, how well do you communicate, how well do you communicate with others through your artistry. So that's, and I take care of everybody. I provide everything, and make sure people get paid. That's my number one thing. I like to pay people. So I make sure people get paid on time.
Amen.
Got to pay the people.
I forgot the question.
Oh, no worries. What do you consider when you're selecting an act? What are some things you have to consider?
I feel like you guys have covered a lot of it, but I would say also specifically when I was at ACE and I'm looking at a 30-day calendar, I also have to think of the brand of the venue. So my consideration is also like, aside from the revenue goal, which is very intense, you think psychographically, you think demographically, and when I say that, I mean that I'm thinking about who do I want in this space in this month? Is it their first impression of the space? Is it their second, third, or fourth? How much money are they willing to spend? But also, how will my business look to the public? So like, I am looking at diversity. I am looking at a mix of genre. I'm also, I want to have a big name, but I also want to start your career. So like, I think these are all the things we think about. So I think from an artist perspective, you don't just have to look at who they're booking, you should also look at who they're not booking. And if they're a place that like wants to diversify their booking and they're not booking what you make, there is an opportunity there if you can present yourself. So
Very good nuggets. Good nuggets. So, okay, let's get into it. Right, here's another artist, I guess, centric question when talking to folks like yourself. Like, you obviously get a lot of submissions. You obviously probably get a lot of people walking up to you, wanting to do your gig, seeing it on social media. What is it, that makes a performer stand out to you? And I know, Greg, you talked about having different stages. Your event is obviously different stages, different genres. So I don't know if you want to start, but in general, what is it, in your own little niches? I know, Sage, you've talked about having to do Players Ball and other small events. What is it that makes people, obviously, good music, good quality music, I think is something that everybody, knows and that kind of agrees to, but like, what are some other things that really make somebody stand out to you, artist-wise?
Well, I think there are a few things. One is just having something that actually stands out that's different than everything else a little bit, or if it doesn't necessarily have to be completely different. If it's in a genre that exists a lot, that it exists, that it has its own special twist on whatever it is, whether you're playing traditional jazz or, folk rock or whatever, that, it's kind of got your own fingerprint on it. It's not just like completely generic. I also think, the thing that keeps on coming back, because I know I work with a whole committee, and that of folks that make suggestions, which I feel like helps the overall offerings that we do, because it's not just sort of about me and what I'm seeing, it's about what excites everybody. So it's something that, some kind of buzz about the band, especially if people have heard about it, or even if it doesn't have some kind of buzz out there in the world, if you can see it and you can tell immediately, like, oh, this is kind of interesting. People are gonna find this exciting. I think that that helps.
Yeah, good one. Anybody else want to jump in on that one?
Mine would be their presence, because a lot about your presence says a lot about you as an artist. So I'm looking at, when I go to people's shows and when I listen to DJs and when I see artists perform, is their presence. That's what draws me in. That's what keeps me interested. And, in turn, when there's an opportunity, when I have an opportunity, to be like, hey, I think I want this person, or this person might be a good fit because of their presence, and I like the way that they perform, or I like their skill set, I like the way that they spin. That's when I go and I reach out.
Love that. Sally, you want to add to that? You've obviously seen hundreds of them, a whole bunch, right? What makes?
Yeah, I feel it's really specific, but the thing that I really go for, aside from social media, which I think is really crucial when you book in like a corporate environment, because if you don't know the artist's reach personally, if they're like a new artist to you, you kind of have to make a guess. Again, I'm going to go back to your Carfax analogy. Like, we all have musician friends and industry friends we respect, and I don't know if y'all do it, but I will be like, what do you think of this band? Have you heard of this band? Have you heard of this artist? So that's like adjacent to the word of mouth, I think. But sometimes if it's fucking cool, I'm just gonna book it. Like, I'm gonna book something in the month that makes money so I can rationalize the weirdest booking ever,
But I think that's important, right? And I think that mode of discovery is something that is very important. And it's made New Orleans. It's all of these pillars of the city that we have in all these different genres. There's always a venue or a space that kind of gave them an opportunity, or a person that had a space for a limited amount of time that gave them an opportunity. So I think that's super important. And so kind of on that same vein, right? Tell me about a time that a band or an artist brand made the difference between booking the gig or not. And we don't have to use artist names, but if you want to be messy, then you can.
I'm gonna be messy. I'm gonna be messy.
This is if you notice, this is the one that Sonali answered first.
I'm gonna to be
Go ahead.
positive messy.
Please.
I remember when Lil Jodeci just started with Pink Room Project and Set the Flow. And I hadn't even gone to the party. But I saw the visual brand and I was like, who the fuck is this? Because I knew they were too young to be around in rave's heyday, but they were nailing the aesthetic. And they were black and from New Orleans. And I was just like, what? And I loved it. I mean, it really made the difference. I really had not gone to a party. And yeah. And then we got, the hotel was not hot about it. I think Brandon Aris was like hanging from the balcony over the sound booth with a mic, and they were like, no, and they're like, there's kids doing drugs in the bathroom. I'm like, we made it, but they were like, no. So, but that was a moment where I was like, who are these kids? They're amazing.
Shout out to Set the Flow and Lil
Yeah.
Jodeci. Look them up if you do not know them. They have quite the movement. Yeah.
You knew.
He was probably there.
Sometimes.
Sage, what about you? Like, has there ever been a time where you wanted to book somebody and like their brand? I mean, you kind of touched on the presence, right? But like, has there ever been a time where somebody's presence, you were drawn to, but something about the brand didn't work out, or vice versa, that the presence wasn't there, but the brand was on point? I mean, how is that important to what you book for?
To be honest, I don't think I've ever ran into that yet.
Not gonna work.
Yeah, right. Knock on wood. I don't think I've ran into either because I'm very picky and choosy. I'm very picky and choosy. I'm uptight about my events. I really am. Like, I run a tight ship. I'm a Capricorn, so I don't play that. Like, I'm just like, I like this way. I want this person, and this is gonna be like this. And my run a show is like this. We do soundtrack is, So, and everybody kind of knows that about me. So when I book people, they already have that understanding. Like,
Fall in line.
not fall in line, but it's business time. We can night up. We can drink. We can play. We can do whatever. But it's business. So people don't kind of like play with me too much.
So it sounds like a part of somebody's brand, or what you like about artists. Some of the artists you work with brand is that they can switch off and do their thing.
Yeah.
When it's time to handle business.
Yeah.
It's business time.
Yeah, when it's business, it's business. When we playing, we playing. I could play all day, but I can stand on business as well. So we gonna get the business first, get this money, then we gonna hang out, we gonna chill.
Yeah, I mean, and some of our more notable people. This is New Orleans, right? We have fun. We kick it, but some of our more notable people, when it's time to handle business, you handle business. And of course, you can hang out and go see your boy. But I mean, I think that's a very important thing just to associate with an artist brand. And also, Sonali, you said something very important too, just about artist brands. Talking to trusted folks, right? Your word is your bond, right? You can only go as far as people can talk about you, is kind of what I've always heard, right? And so doesn't mean that everybody has to like you, right? But I think that doing good business, sticking to what your moral compass is, being consistent. I mean, these are all things that, I've given artists who didn't have those numbers or those metrics quite yet a chance, because they had the presence, because they had it, they had a seriousness about it. So, I mean, I think that's one thing too, just to add. I mean, I think a part of your brand is who you are, and that's how people speak to who you are. And this is a small city. I try to tell these younger folks, this is a small city, obviously, demographically and geographically, but also, the industry and with people who are booking and amongst musicians themselves. So do good business, treat people good. That's a part of your brand. That'll push you a good part of it. Rogers, you want to hop in there? Somebody else want to say something?
I want to add one thing.
Please.
I will say, in my experience for the artists out there, like, every booker I've ever worked with or known has integrity. In my experience, the bookers I know have integrity. Like, if you have personal issues with a booker, that often has nothing to do with whether they book you or not. Unless you've done something absolutely horrible, that's like unforgivable, but I just wanted to throw that out there. And it's something that has impressed me through the years, actually, about New Orleans bookers.
Wow, good to know. Rock, you want to add something?
I look at it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So as we move it along, right? All right. So I would say, kind of on that same vein, right? What would you say is the most important element of a performer's personal or professional brand? What is the most important element, right? Is it communicating? Is it? I mean, you kind of spoke on presence, yeah. But what is it? You know, what is it that for the artists that are in the audience here, right? Artists that may be gigging but want to gig more, artists that may be at a certain level but want to take it to the quote unquote next level and want to get some bigger gigs. I mean, what is an element, a part of their brand that is the most important to you?
For me, intention is really important. You can be really good, you can be really bad, but if you're passionate about what you're doing and you have a good intention, because some people's intention is money, some people's intention might be influence or something, but you might have somebody's intention who's to share music, to share art, love, whatever, through their music, their art, their opportunity. So intention is really important for me.
Love that. What else?
Mine would be authenticity. Just being yourself, being you. It's, as a DJ, it's work for me. You have to, even as a human, it's work for me. You got to stand on who you are, accept parts of you that no one else will. Love yourself higher than anybody else, and just be able to maneuver through different situations where you're still able to remain yourself. And growing in that, not necessarily wavering, but growing and continue to grow, because as an artist, you're continuously growing and you're going through changes in certain situations. So just staying true to you and being authentically you, the good, the bad, the ugly, it's life. We people. Artists, we get it the worst because, we ain't all that right sometimes. So, just really being you and being authentic and not wavering to go these different routes that don't necessarily serve you and your good intentions. So yeah.
Thank you for that. Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that, and also say, there's so many ways to think about brand, and I think sometimes, in a sort of a product-oriented world, we think of it like it's the one thing, and that certainly you can define yourself in one way, and some artists are like that. Some artists are like the definition of, you can't think of, New Orleans jazz without thinking about this person, or, whatever genre whatever you want to, put in there, fill in the blank. But, a lot of artists around here have like multiple sort of genres that they're crisscrossing. And one thing I notice from our applications is sometimes it's really easy for that to turn into like a 4-paragraph essay on what your thing is. So, but even if you are combining like 10 different things, like come up with like the one sentence thing, and even if you're some hybrid that nobody's gonna quite understand, you can sort of pique people's interest to look at those videos, and by being authentic to yourself and being a little bit different than everything else, that kind of, sets you apart from everybody else.
Love that. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is that you're suggesting that artists figure out how to succinctly, explain what they do, right? Because like you say, we have multi-hyphenated folks, right? But I guess it's always good to be able to kind of say what you do in like one sentence, or in your case, in a Google form work, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. And I mean, I know that it's challenging because like I forget whose quote it was, like the talking about music is like dancing about architecture. And so I know it's challenging, and genres are like kind of limiting and put you in a box. So like sometimes just like, sort of like having a way just to say it's like kind of free of genre, and like, having some way to describe it, even if it's not a conventional way. And often like letting the music speak for itself. And that also goes back to the earlier question, maybe, or one of the earlier questions, I forget which one, that, that comes up, which is like having a way for people to see what you do, because you can kind of sell it and you can kind of look at it in a standard kind of selling brand way. You can have like a consistent style with the same font and the same imagery, and that's very cool, and that's a good thing to do. That'll help everybody recognize you and see your poster and say like, oh, that was that show last week, or that was really good, I'm going to see that, and next time I see that, I'll know who that is, or it represents a certain thing, it's retro or it's futuristic. But having some easy way for people to check out your music, is important. And you'd be surprised how many people have like 2 paragraphs about what they do, and then it gets to where's the example of your music, and it's, well, it's online, YouTube, search for this in YouTube, and then you're like making whoever's looking for your music, like search a little bit, do a little bit more work just to find you. And, so having some, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, some high-end, high-budget video production. It can be, if somebody, sometimes we've seen like clips that are, a band on a cell phone from a club, and you can see the whole club is full of people, and they're dancing, and they have the party going, and the people are singing along with it, and you're like, who are these people? This is what we want, that.
Yeah, cool. I do want to add to that, like, in terms of generating media, wow, I don't know what happened. In terms of generating media about yourself, it's great. I want to see your aesthetic, I want to see you, but I do want to see how people react to you. So, like, upload stuff to YouTube, pin it, make it, what is it called? A highlight. Like, it's important for me if I'm not, especially if you're booking out of town, like, no one's going to be able to come to your show and see the way you move an audience. So, like, get video of that and keep it present, pin it. So, like, if you're trying to book yourself on a mini tour or something out of town, like, the person booking you can go to your Instagram and see the effect you have on an audience. I think that's pretty crucial.
Yeah, I love that. Anybody else want to add to that? This kind of flows into our next question, because the next question is, how can potential performers make it easy for talent buyers to select them for opportunities? So, Greg, I know you've touched on, having your link available. I think it's like, and not making people search for your music. I think that's an important one, and one that has been helpful to a lot of folks that I've known is just having your music handy and always on your phone, always having a link of your music. Hi Hello, I don't know if you're familiar with Hi Hello. It's a free service. It creates a free digital business card. If you come up and talk to me after, I'll show it to you. I'll show you mine. But it's a free digital business card. It lets you create these QR codes, and within those codes, you can drop whatever links that you want to drop. Have been super helpful for me when in the room with folks or just networking with folks. But what are some other like nuggets you'd like to give? You all are all artists too. So like, what are some things you've learned since you've been, talent buying for other folks that you use now booking yourself as an artist? How can they make it easy? How can they, make your job less intense so that you can select them?
Always be invisible. So content is key. Content is key, whether it's digital or whether it's physical. Whether you have things on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or whether you have posters, merch, stickers, lighters, you can just drop stuff on the ground and, keep it moving. People gonna be like, oh, what's that? And pick it up, and boom, there you have somebody finding you. You never know who's gonna be walking around. So content, even in a physical form, is important.
Love that.
I think communicating to the space, to the booker, it's absolutely our job or my job to like find people, but also as an artist, personally, as an artist, I would pick places I wanted to play. I would walk into a space and be like, oh, it'd be cool, like this, I get this energy from this space, I'd like to do this here. But sharing that with the person or the space, or if you can get to the person that actually does the booking, that's great. If you can just get to the front desk or get to their email, that's also great. But actually speaking up and saying, hey, I'd like to do such and such here, taking it a step further, it's really great when people share exactly what they want to do. So not just, hey, you know, I want you to book me for blank, but hey, I want to do a poetry show from this time to this time for this reason, because the Mercury is going to be in retrograde, so I have this really cool theme that goes with that, and I want to book this person to go with it. Like actually having a fully thought out idea also, I think is really cool. It shows intention. Again, I love that. But it also shows, it can demonstrate your professionalism. It can demonstrate the ease of communication and having a relationship with you thereafter, which makes a booker or a person that has the opportunity to book you, that's, oh man, you're doing some of the work for me. We don't have to go through those extra 2 or 3 steps to get to us actually working together. So communicating.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with both of those and say, I mean, to add, you know, it's, you know, everything he said, it's finding those appropriate venues or spots for what you do. If you're doing like a singer-songwriter thing, it's like you're not necessarily looking at the, you know, and you're just starting out, you might not be looking at getting into the same venue that like a 7-piece dance band is going for, you know. So, you know, and making it sort of, especially when you're starting out, but even when you're established, making it easy to work with yourself, easy to work with for people. And that means, like, you know, working with scheduling and sort of understanding that, you know, not everybody gets their top pick of exactly when in the lineup they are, and that, you know, we have like a French Quarter Festival is 4 days, so we need 4 days of really exciting music. That means, like, if it's Thursday at 2 in the afternoon, it's still an important spot to get, and you know, not everybody's going to be playing Saturday night close. So I mean, that's one thing I find is like, you know, people either tend to be like kind of all the way, you know, sort of very, you know, they're getting in touch with you all the time about something, and then you're almost like, okay, hold on, wait a minute, we'll get in touch with you. Or sometimes it's like the opposite, and you can't find them, and you're like, hey, we've got this opportunity for you, get back to us. So, you know, on either side of it, find that middle ground that makes you easy to work with, because, you know, and then if it's a good show, people will remember that and they'll want to work with you again.
So the balance between findable and annoying.
Yeah.
Find that balance in between there. Anybody else want to add to that?
I would just also like to add that if you cannot be someone who can build a relationship with a booker, ask a friend to be your manager. Because sometimes you will get in your own, you don't have to be good at everything as an artist, but you should have an awareness of what you're not good at, because you will get in your own way. And it speaks to exactly what you said. Like, if you are constantly bothering the booker, that's probably not a good look, but I understand why, because you're very emotional about your art. But if you're not responding to the booker who wants to give you a gig, that's also wild. Like, you have a friend, or approach someone who's already managing artists you like. You know, artist managers kind of make the world go round as well, you know. So, like, yeah, I think if you can't do it, like, try to find someone to do it for you, you know.
I like that. Anybody else want to add to that? So we've already talked. We wrapping soon. We're getting to the Q&A soon. So, but we've already talked about, you know, the next question. The first part was talking about what makes an artist memorable, and I think you all have kind of talked about that in your own way. But I want to kind of move forward. So, boom, you know, you've gotten this opportunity as an artist. I've gotten, you know, through the door. I've had this gig. I've had this experience. How can I improve my chances of being booked again? What are some things that you can tell some of these artists, you know, how can I be booked again? What are some things that I can do? And trust me, the things that, even some of the most menial things, say it, because it may not be common to everybody. But please, how can these artists get booked again? We've gotten the door, I've gotten the gig. How can I get you to call me back? How can I get a residency?
I would love to answer this question
Yes.
because DJ Rockaway, I remember after the first gig, you followed up and were like, how did the bar do? How did you feel about it? You wanted to talk about the sound. And I was like, I want to work with you forever. Like, I think that interest, and I think this was a pull quote you used for the flyer, like, that interest in making a long-term relationship with a music venue isn't just about you getting booked. It's about, did the bartenders make enough money? Can we pay the bill off this? Like, can we pay our rent off this night? Like, there's a lot that goes into the night. Do people feel really good in the space? And does it make them want to come back when this person's not playing? These are the things I think about from the booking side, and I want to know an artist is interested in that because we're building our mutual businesses together. So, props to you.
And to add to what Sonali just said, pursuing partnership as an artist has gotten me very far. So not just, I want to be added to your schedule. No. Like, I like the color of those sofas over there, but listen, next time, like, can we move those 2 sofas? And I'm gonna bring in 3 friends that's gonna do this, and this around the room. And let me go talk to the bartenders. I'm gonna be right back. And go talk to the bartenders. Bartenders like, what did you like about the event? What worked for you? What didn't? Who tipped? Who didn't? This is like I always ask, like Sonali said. But I always, if I enjoyed the space, because sometimes you play and you don't enjoy the space. But if I enjoy the space, I'm trying to I'm trying to work it. Give me an apron or whatever. Like, I'm trying to be a part of the fabric of the place. And taking that a step further. So it's, you got to pay me, but also, like, how do we make this better next time? What can I improve on the fly? What can I change on the fly? Should we get rid of the flyer? Can I take photos here now? Like, that will reflect better when I do produce assets to share. Definitely pursuing partnership. I had another one and I forgot it while I was talking about pursuing partnership. I'm gonna bring it back.
Bring it back when they come back.
Partnerships and intentional relationships. Not trying to necessarily go after somebody because I just want to work here, but actually build with the people you actually want to work with, have an actual relationship with them, reach out, like, hey, how you doing? What's up? You don't have to be like their best friend, but you do have to be intentional in a way that it's not, I'm just going to take, and not give. It's a two-way street in any type of relationships, especially a business relationship. So just being intentional about your relationships, making sure you stay in touch. I stay in touch with people I haven't worked with in years, and it can be on Instagram or Twitter or on Facebook. I still, like the post, comment, share, whatever, because I still want to build a relationship with them because those are people who I want to actually really work with long term. And it's intentional.
I agree with all of that. I mean, it makes me think of a lot of things, and I know, for our events, for French Quarter Festival, we get probably twice as many applications as we have spots. And then, of course, we have a lot of the folks that people want to hear back every year that probably aren't applying, like Irma Thomas, probably, she's not really applying, but, we're going to have a lot of people asking about her. So one thing you could do is to get back is to have that kind of buzz where it's not just you lobbying me for it, because that won't necessarily do it, or even like trying to get to other people in the organization, but where there's enough people going like, oh, have you heard that bit? Did you see their set after the festival? We will have a wrap-up meeting, and when we're like, wow, that band, that was really good. But also realizing that we do try to bring in new acts every year, and that's a good thing. But the downside of that is, of course, that means like not everybody's going to be there every year. And to the point that some of the other folks were making about, building relationships, I think people's reaction to not this time, but maybe next year, can be very telling about that relationship. Because, you know, if it's like, what do you mean not this year? It's like, okay, I understand you're disappointed. And then after a while it gets like, okay, I understand, you know, join the club. There's a lot of people, and I'm probably in it too, that aren't playing this year. But at the same time, that you can also turn that around and go like, well, hey, you know, I totally understand. Would love to get on next year. And if you need anything, like I know if somebody drops out last minute, don't hesitate to call. And just being like there, like as in a supportive, like we're here if you need us as much, you know, so it's a mutually beneficial thing is, I think is, you know, a big positive to building that relationship.
Yeah, and I think relationship building, something that I learned very early that worked for me, you know, as an artist and also working with bands that they were just starting, was something that I took from seeing, you know, the importance of mentorship, right? Some of what I seen from Rod Schmooth, who was one of my mentors, was that, you know, when he would let me tag along to a gig, is that when he got to a gig, he would talk to everybody. Raj is not he's not a talk to everybody kind of person, if you know Raj, right? So like, but like he would come in and set up his, you know, his soundboard. I would watch Raj on Soul to Soul, which was his Sunday event, go talk to the sound man, go talk to the bartenders, like Rock said, you know, go talk to the people working the door, right? And so kind of seeing that and mimicking that, there have been times, like Sonali said, that I did not, or the group that I was working with did not, you know, sell out the bar, or we didn't bring a bunch of tickets. But guess what? Because we spoke to folks, we treated folks with respect and with dignity, they were like, you know what, they sounded good, we didn't sell as many tickets as we wanted, but you know what? Everybody said that they were cool, or like they were nice, or they were, you know, they were easy to work with. It just goes a very long way. So I think a lot, when people hear relationship building, a lot of times, you know, they kind of skip that. Sometimes it's supporting the venue. That's another one that I learned from Raj back in the day. You want to play somewhere? Just go pull up. Just go be there. Go see what their calendar has going. Make sure they see you. Go introduce yourself to the owner. Brother L.A. Earhart, where you at? L.A. is in here. Dope hip-hop artist. I was looking for somebody for a hip-hop event, you know, for something I was doing, happened to run into LA at an event, and he was introducing himself to everybody, and I'm like, you know what, let me get... So just the importance of introducing yourself, doing good business, and just really just being available and being there, right? He wasn't performing on the bill that day. He was there supporting other artists, you know, and in turn, I was able to put him on the bill. So I just think that that's something that oftentimes, a lot of folks do well, but oftentimes it gets overlooked, and that doesn't cost, well, it does cost to attend something, right? But it doesn't cost to share somebody else's thing. People notice that, you know, it's not your event, you're not making any money from it, but you're sharing it on your Instagram, you know. I think that support can sometimes be leveraged, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I will say staff opinions matter. Like
Definitely.
the bartender,
Definitely.
the janitor, like if you make the staff I see day to day, which is my family, feel bad, you could be Mozart. I'm not going to book you, you know?
Yeah. When you're at a venue, definitely think of it as you're on the clock just like them. So we all at work together. Even though I've been booked by whomever, I've been booked by the booker at this venue, I walk in and we are one band, one sound. If y'all not all right, I'm not all right. If the door not all right, I'm not all right. We all have to collectively make this night or this event worth it. And as somebody who doesn't work there full time and is only being, you know, contracted out, you still have to make those connections as if I'm on a clock just like y'all, and we all on the same payroll, we all clocked in together, I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow type of thing.
Agreed.
I remember it.
Go.
So, be undeniable, being, you know, kind and respectful and professional. All those things are great, but being damn good that's you know, it's obviously a value. If I cannot deny the talent, if I cannot deny the impact to the audience that was present. If I cannot deny what you put out of your body, no matter what your art form is, we got to at least talk after the show, like something. After that, audience is really important. I should probably use even more excitement to say that, but if you come into a space, whether it's a space that has its own regular audience, or if it's a space that you bring people to, if people walking up to the bar the next Saturday or the next Friday, hey man, what's such and such? They playing here again? After the third time, yeah, hey, yeah, so you want to come and play here again? You know, but again, that's being undeniable. You have that impact on not just the space, not just the booker, not just the staff, but also on these people that came in. Again, people could have came because they know you, you've been knowing them for years, or it could have been some person that their friend goes to your thing, or it could have been some person that just happened to walk in. If you get all three of those people to come back and talk about you without you texting them and telling them, first of all, because I mean, you could do that too. However, if it can happen by osmosis, if you will, that's even better, you know, because every person that you impact as an artist becomes a flyer. They become a voice note. They become an Instagram post, so on and so forth. So yeah, be undeniable no matter what you do, and consider, this is the other part, consider every single opportunity an interview, every single one. I don't care if you done played that 16 times. The booker might not even be there tonight. Somebody else, some artist that you love might be sitting in the back having drinks in the little dark corner. Some other booker might be in town. There might be you don't know, there might be a booking conference at the convention center. You don't know because you just don't know. It's not your business. But you can have a room full of people that can bring you somewhere else. You can have a representative from a company looking for somebody to do music for a commercial. You never know who's in the room and what you're doing that day, how that could lead to your next opportunity. So always think of every opportunity, again, as one to be undeniable for and with, one that your impact is paramount, no matter who's in the room, because this may be your next big opportunity.
And I would like to piggyback off of that, because in terms of like French Quarter Fest, it's 4 days and people want to be at the prime spot, Saturday night closing. And as artists, we all want that spotlight. But even if you're an opener, you got to show your ass, your whole ass. I do it all the time. They put me first, and it'd be like a four-person lineup of DJs, and I'd be the very first one. I cut up. And you have to, because you never know who's watching, you never know who's looking. It can be 5 people that's done, I'm DJing. I'm a DJ like it's at least 500, you know, and just making your presence always known. No matter if you first, you second, you third, you last. No matter if there's 5 people, 100 people, show your whole ass, because you don't know who's going to be watching. You don't know who's in the building. And word of mouth, don't sleep on word of mouth. Do not sleep on word of mouth.
Correct.
You know, I've never done a lot of self-promotion, like, oh, book me for this, book me for that. It's always been like word of mouth, because everything that I do is 100%. No days off, no slacking, no matter what. So for all my artists that are getting on these lineups and they may not be, you know, the highlighter, they may not be the headliner. In your head, you are the headliner, whether you the first one, the opener, closer, you in the middle. In your head, when you hit that stage, you putting on a show. Period.
Yes. Oh yeah, it actually, you know, and that reminded me, I mean, I don't know if you were working with Tank back the first time she played at French Quarter Fest, but it was on a Thursday at like 12:30 or 1, it was like the second set, and they were just really psyched to be there. We were just like, oh, this is a really interesting new band. They have a look, they have a sound. It's kind of hard to define, but it's definitely a thing. And they were excited, and they wanted to be at the press conference and do all this stuff. And there was like no, and of course, everybody knows, that has, worked to their advantage in many ways, and they've continued to snowball that. But as opposed to sort of going like, oh, Thursday, well, that's not going to be the exciting time, so I'm going to, I'm not really going to put in an effort. And I think it holds true for, on the level of a club too, is, everybody has an off night where there's, not as many people there as you want. But, if you have 10 people there, that's like an opportunity to really connect with those people on a much more personal level. And then maybe, you adjust your show so you're not like, hey, everybody, but you're like, like, hey, we're having a personal time. We're going to play some of these songs. I might play some slower songs that I don't normally play. And we're going to just like, and like make sure those people, it's even more important now because you only had 10 people there, that they're going to go and tell their friends, and they're going to want to come back and see you, and that they're not going to feel like, well, geez, we came out to see that artist and they just they didn't seem like they cared, But if you're like, hey, we're only 10 people in the audience, sometimes as an audience member, that can be like, a great thing. Obviously, as a booker, we want to see 2,000 people there. But like, as an audience member, it can be nice to have that feeling of exclusivity. And one of them might be the booker of a festival in France or something like that. And they might go like, oh, this is going to work really well. So, definitely don't miss those, don't miss the opportunity to connect with people. And that goes also to what you all were saying earlier, to the bartenders and the other folks there. I mean, I know from working in clubs and stuff like that, mention them. Remember to tip your bartenders. Sort of. You don't have to kiss up necessarily, but make sure they're happy with what you're doing, and also, if they're asking you not to do something, or you have the same thing with a stage manager at a festival, like, work with them and like, oh, you want me to do this? Okay, we'll do it like that. Or like, hey, let's talk about it. We really want to do it like this. Is there a way I can do that? And just make sure, they're not just like, oh, don't get this artist back. It's just a headache. They're just respectful. They don't listen to what I have to say.
So don't be a jerk. That's how you sum that up.
That would have been the.
Don't be a
easy-
jerk
I
and
should've
show
just
your
said
whole
that.
ass.
See
That's
how
how
much
we gonna
verbiage
sum
I
this up.
used, and I should have just said, be nice.
Yeah, no, but that was very. Can we show some love to like some of the nuggets that have been dropped tonight? Like these folks are, yeah. I appreciate your time and your energy and your lived experience. And like I said, I've had dealings with all of these folks for quite some time, and so honored for you all to be here. We're gonna take a couple questions. Can't take every question, but then also we're gonna have a little bit of intentional networking time a little bit after. There's a mic in the bag. Jason back there has the mic. Is anybody have any questions? Lift your hand up, and Jason will come and bring you the mic. Oh, we have somebody back here. Please introduce yourself and say what you do, and come on with your question.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
Demiri. Not enough people know me in here, but some people do. I would like to know more people in here too, because I don't know like we all. My stage name's Baker. I play guitar, among other things. My whole thing is music, but really more so like esoteric and soundscape stuff, because like I can do like anything, and I also do a lot of weird shit on my personal.
We support the weird shit.
And like weird in the sense that like for me, I don't want to get to ask everything, but like to what you were speaking about the unnameability of genre stuff, like a lot of people, including myself, are having a hard time like name me, but also like I get to be in interesting places. So we'll talk later.
Yes.
But I feel like okay, the first question I really want is how does one empower themselves towards more like structure once they realize they have all these new floating elements to contend with on top of being a direct artist? So it's like let me like make that simple. Right? So y'all were all artists. Y'all were also talking about all this other shit that y'all do as far as things that y'all do as far as brand name things, as far as like you do things at the Ace, you do things at creative events, you heard about you so far, I do feel like I only even am really familiar with Legatron because of Legatron and Rockaway because we used to live together and all. I mean, not together, but like next to each other, and also like, I also just know a lot about you because you just do a lot of great things, and like directly in front of people that I know of. But like, I feel like I'm getting into a space now where I'm considering my artistry. I'm considering people I want to collaborate with, but I'm also having a lot of stuff to contend with feeling like there's a lot of things to consider with making event things, especially because I've been talking a lot with Chuck about a lot of stuff at Cafe Istanbul recently. So I'm curious to hear y'all's perspectives on how y'all approach that when y'all were first considering those things.
Well, first thing I would say, I'm going to jump in before they do. Build community. I think building community is a good thing. Like the first thing you mentioned was, just trying to figure out how to succinctly do that, right? Take advantage of New Orleans being small. Find a journalist, find a writer, find somebody doing PR. I mean, because you can't do it all, right?
No, not at all. And I talk to a lot of people, but it's like I feel like there are a number of people that I know that are in different pocket communities. And it's like this city is small, but like pocket communities are smaller.
This is true. Anybody else want to add to that?
You might not like this answer.
No, tell me.
But for a time, I think there's sadly some overworking that you may need to do.
I'm okay with that. And we don't get paid enough for what we do, but it's not important.
I think the negative for that is absolutely like you run the risk of, overworking, burnout, et cetera. The positive impact of that, I would say, is skill building. I learned how to use Photoshop because I didn't have anybody around to do it for me. I was always into photography, but I learned like some extra steps because again, I needed to utilize photography to create the assets I had learned how to use. I had to learn about merchandising and selling things and creating graphics for shirts and communicating with bookers. Learning to communicate with Sonali was like a skill that I had to learn.
I mean, I definitely want to hear
know
from
how
all
I feel
of y'all.
about that.
And what way?
Not like
What do you mean
representative
by
of
that?
a booker.
No,
Are we
but like
gonna
I get what you mean because it's like what you said.
And also, for me, having to learn all of those things meant that I was able to remember this phrase, entry points. I was able to control more entry points for myself, for my work, because I got to touch it. So if you came to one of my events or if you came to a party, you were experiencing everything, every detail from my mind. Because I made the flyer, I took the pictures. There was a time I was telling Gypsy about yesterday, I had the pleasure of having this poetry event at Preservation Hall. Curated the whole thing, hired all the artists, worked with all the artists, I DJ'd. I also made pasta for 50 people.
Jevon can cook.
But that was a level of event I was able to put together. Literally, I didn't have to have help. I absolutely included friends because this is a beautiful project. Let's do this together. But I could have done all of that out of my laptop in my right hand, right? But I was able to touch every single thing. I picked the font on the flyer. I picked every booker. Not every booker, every artist, down to the band. Was able to give notes on what we were looking for, what I was looking for the night, so on and so forth. So again, like Swab said, use your community, build your community, use your community, but also it doesn't hurt to know how to do everything.
But I can attest to knowing how to do a lot. Make sure you prioritize, definitely. So when you get overwhelmed, you can prioritize. Because being a multi-genre, multifaceted artist, we touch on things all the time. We doing this, then we're doing that, then we're doing this, then we're doing that. Prioritize what needs to be prioritized. Make your list, and then start knocking things out and rotate everything around and start all over again. But just make sure you prioritize the things, your skill sets and the things that you want to create and the knowledge that you're constantly engulfing. Just prioritize everything.
Anybody else want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I know you said soundscapes, and I don't know exactly, it makes me want to hear what you do. But, obviously, like, I think I mentioned earlier, it's like picking the right venue for that. And is it like, can you be on, is it something that can be also utilized in theater production where you can, collaborate with theater or with film, or, maybe even do soundtrack for videos and stuff like this, or you have one show that's, where you're doing music for that, or maybe you work up a certain show that's more like a stage show and something that's like a little bit more, for recording and chilling out. So, and also, if you're looking for an entry point with other artists, it's like picking the other artists that are complementary. They don't have to be the same. Obviously, sometimes, we already have examples of that. Sometimes it's cool to have stuff that's different. I think for what we do at French Quarter Festival, I found that like eclectic programming actually works really well, because you don't want to, I think it's like an old vaudeville thing. You don't put a magician on right after a magician. You put the, the magician on, then the band, then the dancers, then, so, yeah, I mean, I think looking at all your options and figuring out where you want to focus your energy is good.
Oh, do you have another question?
How you doing?
How you doing?
My name is Derek Strong. This is my brother David Strong, and together we perform as Gorilla Strong. My question initially is, before the pandemic, the lockdown, we were offered a contract from Coachella, and lockdown happened and kind of everything kind of dissipated, and since then we have kind of been doing other things. We're youth educators now. We've been teaching in a lot of different schools around the city, but we wanted to increase our musical presence by doing more shows and doing more professional bookings. So my question is I know y'all talked about entry points as well as word of mouth, but how do you go about discovering unheard of artists that are actually good in their talents?
Going to shows. Definitely going to shows. Before I DJ'd, I was the girl at the rap shows. I went to all the shows. I see it. Like I was the girl at the rap shows. Like I went to all the shows, Hi-Ho, Casa Casa. I was everywhere, just at the rap shows, and I continued that on. So going and supporting other artists is how you discover other artists. It may not be a show that you would necessarily go to, but just because it may be interesting, just because of the venue, you never know that it's all about discovering. So when you discover, you just go and find. I like going on SoundCloud still, and I will sit for hours and just go through playlists discovering. And part of our job as booking people is discovering. So especially if you want to get out as artists, go to different shows. Go to different shows, support other people, see other venues, see other DJs, talk to people. Networking is very, very important. So, go and support and get your face out there. But also, people also see you as a supportive collective.
My algorithm has me down to a science. I actively seek weird things. Like I said, I think I'm kind of like a outsider when it comes to stuff. And I also I make friends with lots of interesting, eccentric, difficult people. So like when they're posting about their events and the things they're interested in, and they're just New Orleanians, right? I'm like, ooh, what's that? Like I found out about a Pareo party that's happening soon with two 20-year-old like femme Latinx people, and I was like, do they even know how to mix? I don't care. I want to go, because it's cool. And I would say, yes, I go to shows, but also don't knock a house party. Throw your own house party and invite other people, because the stakes are lower. You can control the vibe a little bit better. It's, easy on the pocket, And also, it's fun. I mean, I think New Orleans has a beautiful culture for that. Not every city has that. You can't go to suburban America and do that. But New Orleans, you can do that. And how do y'all call it down here? Throwing a DJ, a block party?
Throwing a DJ. We at the DJ.
Like, bring that back. Like, I haven't seen one happen in a really long time. Like, I think, are you guys your natives? Yeah, bring it
So
back.
y'all know about the DJs. Y'all know about the DJs.
I think like soft marketing, like you don't always have to fill even a 200-person room if you're not there yet. Fill a 50-person house. Do it 6 times in 6 months. It will expand and get too big for the house. You know what I mean? So I think like be more grassroots, be more organic. It goes back to building a community. Any good scene starts with friends. Your friends won't get you to the finish line though. They're gonna get sick of you. But any good scene starts, it's just real. I mean, except for you, all your friends still love you. They all, DJ Rockaway is like a lifestyle. But like, I'm not joking. It's half the reason like I knew you would do great at ACE. But yeah, start small. You don't have to start even middle-sized. You can start small.
Brother Strong, do you have a Gmail account?
Ooh.
Okay. Gmail has this feature called Drive. You're familiar with Google Drive. I'm not trying to be redundant or disrespectful. Just going through the steps for everybody. Go on Google Drive, make a folder. In that folder, you need a one sheet. On your one sheet, it could be as simple as a picture that's clear. You see you and your brother's face. And if possible, a version of what you do. Maybe there's an instrument, a guitar, I don't know, headphones, something. Don't have to. Okay. You put that photo on top left corner on that sheet of paper, one sheet of paper, who you are, where you from, why you do, what you do. That's a one sheet. You could be cute and put like some, I don't know, flyer, burn some logos or something at the bottom. You ain't got to. It's cool. Put that in that folder. A separate, another picture in color in that folder. Take that folder, attach it to an email. Oh wait, put a song in the folder, a song that you like. You take that folder, you attach it to an email. Peace, what's happening? I'm Brother Strong. I do this, trying to play at your venue. If you go and you go to any website, because you get to pick your venues this way also, because you get to do the picking this way. You go find venues that sound cool, find people you want to work with. There's a contact link somewhere. If you go to Tipitina's website, you can email Nick, who's the booker. You can email him, right? Send him that email. Peace, I'm blank. This is my EPK. And you ain't got to say EPK, but technically that's the EPK. At the bottom, check me out. I'm really interested in playing in your venue. Now, you absolutely run the risk of that man not opening that email, but it don't matter because you send it to 10 people. You send it to 10 venues. And again, you picked those places. So if they respond, you already excited because that's somewhere you already wanted to play. That's a simple way to do that.
Nice. We got space for another one, Jake? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was sitting for a while. My knees just told on me. My name is Nisi B. I'm actually a singer-songwriter and a transplant. I found that word out not long ago. So I don't...
Welcome.
Yeah, hi.
That's another panel.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Can I be on that one too?
It burst my bubble the first time I heard it, so it's okay. This one doesn't hurt as bad. But no, you guys, I'm coming from the East Coast, and I'm coming from a very disciplined family. I'm actually the only artist in my family, actually. My uncle, but he's the sheep, basically. He's the black sheep. So I come from a very disciplined, very intentional family. So I come here with that mindset of whatever I'm gonna do, be the best at it, you know. But I heard all of the how do you get booked and how do you make yourself undeniable. But what do you do when the work ethic on the venues part is not your work ethic? I'm running into a residency that I'm a part of now, and I'm tired of fighting without, I'm trying not to sound like that word, you know, because women, we get that one quickly. So I'm trying not to be that, right?
Say what you got to say.
Okay.
I get you, sis.
If I can be transparent.
I get you.
Please.
If y'all okay with the energy, and there was a baby, I saw a baby. He's gone. Okay. So if I could be myself for a second, I don't want to be a bitch, and I'm really tired of people playing with me, and so I'm very intentional, like you said. When I come in a room, I make sure, first off, my prayer is speak for me, through me, and to me. So when I'm having this communication with said owner or venue or talent buyer, I'm expecting you to show that reciprocity that you're expecting from me. I've already committed to you my time. I'm early. I'm talking to your crowd. I'm talking to your bar. I'm asking, do they need water? You know what I mean? I'm coming to you, but I'm pulling teeth to get paid. Why am I waiting a week to get my money? You didn't wait a week for my talent. So, and I mean that because I work, by the way, a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I still find time to give you 1,010%. So why can't I get that? So how do you address that? Because I've had 4 meetings and I'm getting nowhere. And it's their venue, right? And my question has even been, what do you expect from me? What are your expectations? What do you need? And how can I adjust what we're doing to fit that need? And so, because I'm in finance, so I do that with customers all the time. How can I help you? Tell me. And so, where do I go? Because I'm kind of, honestly, it's starting to make me not want to do this.
Are you happy there? You want to fight to stay at this venue?
Okay. The ownership, no.
I think that's a very important, it comes back to the partnership piece.
I was thinking
It's
the
a
same thing.
2-part answer, I promise.
Sister, is it okay if I'm gonna ask a question?
Absolutely, please.
Is this a situation where, I mean, we all love opportunities, but it seems that you're maybe not attached to the venue, but you're attached to the opportunity. Is that true?
No, I'm attached to the venue.
You are
not
attached to
the
the venue.
ownership.
Okay.
They could go. The venue can stay.
Okay.
The owners can go, the venue can stay.
I love them.
I mean, it may be too late for this, but for the other folks that haven't run into this quite yet, and I had to learn to have one of these things. I kept, I'm playing around the city, so I wasn't really thinking about having a writer, but a well-executed writer it's not just you want green M&Ms. It's not. That could be a page, that could be a section. But it's where I want the chair, sitting out on the stage, where I want the mic, what color I need my favorite bartender to wear. You could put it in there. They ain't got to agree to it, but you could put it in there. But also, you can use a writer to tie back into and or make addendums to a contract. And you can make your needs stipulations that are based on the fact that we signed a contract.
That's the gag.
That's the gag.
None of them have contracts.
Okay.
Well, you gotta get a contract.
But
Yeah.
I threw out the big C word, and all of a sudden, my money started coming in, and I'm like, sir, it's nothing to draw up a contract.
Yeah.
I have a legal minor.
Yeah.
I can do my own. I'm giving you an opportunity to show your integrity, right? I'm giving you a chance. You asked for our service.
Yeah.
So I guess more of, and I love that response. Thank you for that. But I guess my frustration is when you are doing all you can do to not be the jerk, to not be the nuisance, to still be the professional, and still make sure that venue, because we are energy based, right? So we don't just play music, we sell an experience. So the biggest thing is I need that energy to be a certain way so that I can do what I can do. And I need you to work with me, but if I'm giving you everything you want and I still can't get what I need from you, do I just walk away? Or do I say, you know what, just draw the contract up, don't have any more meetings, and just make it ironclad?
I think that you should not wait on them to show their integrity. You get your contract and you give it to them. Because at the end of the day, they're playing with you, not the other way around. So you have to protect yourself as an artist to make sure you get everything that you need from that venue. And you speaking up for yourself does not make you a bitch. It don't. Trust and believe, it does not make you a bitch at all. I know it's hard being a woman, especially a black woman, and you're dealing directly with the venue and they don't put as much respect on your name because you're not a man or whatever. But, you know, if you got to be a little bossy, be a little bossy. Get that contract and have them sign it. If they don't want to sign it, then that's when you figure out for you what's best for you if you want to walk away. Because the venue may still be there, but management always change. One thing about New Orleans, people rotate out of these venues. So the venue will be there.
I'm still learning that part.
Yeah, people, you know, they hit a day, gone tomorrow. So, you know, once you get your contract and if they give you any backlash on it, just, you know, you have to decide whether it's worth you staying or leaving. And I would rather you go where you're respected and go where people don't play with you at all than to be in a space, regardless of how much you love the venue, being in a space where you're being blatantly disrespected.
I want to add to that. I think that's absolutely correct. I think any venue that also has a contract and you have a contract, they will either merge them, do an exhibit, etc. I actually love when artists show up with contracts because I know they're pro, like they're really thinking about themselves, they're thinking about the integrity of the show. But I would also say, you know, book 3 months with them and then go start looking for your other venue and then just dump them. And also, gossip is a powerful tool. Like, tell other artists. Because the place isn't going to change unless other artists are also being like, you know what, we don't like you. You know, that's the way to force the hand of a venue. Like, I mean, it's necessary sometimes because I you know, even though I worked on the like venue side for a really long time, I've like worked, I was like a double agent at Ace sometimes. I'm sure you are too. So like, you want the artists to feel good too. Like, we're all coming from an artist background. We want artists to win. So if the systems in place don't support the artist experience, because the artist has to feel good to make the crowd feel good, right? So like, we will do things to make it happen. And if you need to tell other artists, and if they're having the same experiences, like, yo, there needs to be a management change. People need to be like, we don't want to play music here because you're terrible. Like, that's a real thing. The owners will be like, okay, well, this sucks, you know? This is part of our business model. We need music.
I mean, I think to add to that, I mean, I think this has all sort of been said in one way or the other, and in fact a lot by you, but it's sort of like setting those boundaries. So like, you've let them know that you want to get paid. You can put it in a contract, but like if they're flaking out the contract, they could sign something and still flake out. You're probably not going to go sue them. That's not to say that you shouldn't get a contract. That might be enough for them to go like, oh, now we have a contract. Now the person at the end of the night says, oh, it says here we pay them at the end of the night. But the clear communication and understanding, like, I need to get paid at the end of the night or whatever your term is. If it's, you need to count the drawer and it's 24 hours, whatever you decide is your parameter for working there. But then to stick to that too. So like, you know, if they continually like short you, or they told you it was going to be this much money and it's always, you know, half of that, and you didn't agree, then, you know, definitely start. I think it sounds to me like you're already at the point where you're ready to start looking for other venues, and like you kind of have your, you know, your act together enough that you're probably going to get something that's better.
It's not quitting if you advocating for yourself. It's not quitting.
Well, let's stick with loyalty. You got to be loyal to yourself first. And as much as, you know, money or space, there have been times I had to walk away from things that I really wanted to do and people I really wanted to do it with. But if I'm on your stage and I'm worried about you paying me, I ain't scratching as hard. I'm not as focused. I'm not, you know, that's taken away from what I'm here to do. So consider the fact that in your attempt to be loyal, you're literally giving less because you're so concerned about it. So like it's working against you twice. So I absolutely understand, you know, the value of an opportunity, the value of a relationship with a space that you love and respect, but also they may need to learn to respect you. I've had to experience that. I've been told no a lot by the same people who 2 years, 2 weeks, 7 years later, hey, yeah, man, I heard you're doing such and such, can you? And I get whatever I want, right? That may or may not be the case in the future, but you have to, regardless of your work, regardless of the place, you have to worry about you first. You have to.
I always think, you know, and I think you said it before, communication too is so vital, and that works both ways, you know, and it sounds like if they're not communicating, you know, with you, that's a problem too. But if, you know, I know summer's hard for venues in New Orleans, and I know I've played at places where it's like, August, they're like, hey, you know, we usually pay you this much, but we've been really, really slow. Is it okay if we pay you a little bit less? And it's like, yeah, because I want to stay here for when it gets good again. And I know that I trust them, that it's going to, you know, that, you know, I want to make it worth their while for that value to be there. But as long as that trust is there and it's not like you're looking at the payment envelope and that's when you find out that it was less than what, you know, it has to accompany, you know, hopefully before you get there, they tell you, you know, before you actually book the date, they're like, hey, August, it's a little bit different, or, you know, but we'll be going back up later. Or, hey, this was a really off night. Do you mind working with us on this? And then it's up to, you know, then it's you. But if the communication is there, it's hard to have that trust, which is, I think, an important part of any relationship.
And sometimes you have to show people better than you can tell them. So you might have to move around and knock out the next venue, you know, and then they be like, oh, you know. So, but yeah, no.
Use your current opportunity to create content, though. Okay, well then, all right, you ready?
You're on it. Can we give these dope folks, once again, a big round of applause? Sonali, Legatron, Rockaway, Greg. Thank y'all each. I appreciate you all. Can we also give the Jazz Fest Foundation a round of applause for providing this venue? Shouts out to my wife, Crystal, back there with Them People Productions. So check it. We're gonna do some intentional networking. I know these folks can't stay all night, and be mindful that there's, I'm sure, a couple of folks that want to talk to them, so we don't want to hold them up. But get your information, you know, share your information. Also here, we're doing this for the next 3 weeks. Next week, it's named Thanks Management. We're going to be talking about artists and how do you know you're ready for managers. We're going to have some of the most influential artists in this city. This link here is going to take you to where you can RSVP, same time on Wednesday here. And so, yeah, I appreciate you all. Let's mingle a little bit. Let's talk. Thank you once again. Make sure you get this QR code. Talk to these folks about following them. Follow Them People Productions. Follow Jazz Fest. Sync up. We thank y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. Peace. See you next week.
Do they look good?
Was that amazing?
Only me. Only me.